Hello, happy Thursday. I'm Alegre of Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. And if you have joined me before, then you know that the last couple weeks I've been having some technical difficulties. So, hoping that this is a clearer stream than I've been having. I did a lot of troubleshooting the last week, and okay, it looks like it's looking the way it used to look. So, I'm going to stick with today's topics, and then last week's I think really benefited from video because I was showing you so many different products. So I will go back and redo that video. And for those of you who listen/watch this as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, I will put up a new video for that podcast episode, which I believe was episode 152. I believe today's 153. Don't quote me on it because my head is so full of IT stuff. And I don't know about you, but how many of you out there did not sign up to be tech support? Right? Like, I never wanted to be tech support. And I feel like our world makes it impossible not to be tech support. So it is rainy and cold where I am. So I have a hot cup of coffee, which is unusual for me. But my smoothie is so cold that I just don't even want to go there. So welcome. If you have been watching the last month or so, then you know that I'm doing what I'm calling a season of self-care. Things are challenging. I don't know about you, but I feel like a veil has been lifted from my eyes and I can't unsee what I'm seeing. And I think that's good because if we don't face the truth, then things will never be better. And truth can be uncomfortable. But I feel like our culture has valued comfort over justice for too long. And so I am ready to get uncomfortable. And, I often start my podcast by telling you what I've been reading. I recently finished a book called 12 Years a Slave that was written about 130, 140 years ago. And it's about a man who was born free, lived in New York, and he was kidnapped and sold into slavery in the South. And he lived in the South for 12 years as an enslaved individual. And it's his honest experience. And it's not, I would say that this is a book, the way it's written, it's eye-opening, but it's not uncomfortable. If you've read any Octavia Butler, her books are sci-fi, but those books are harder to read. This is a book that I would recommend to, say, a teenager who wants to have a first-person experience of that period in American history. And so I am doing my part to educate myself about these things. I'm reading right now. So I finished that book. I would highly recommend it. It's beautifully written. I think one of the things that was really sad for me when I finished the book is the fact that he only wrote that one book. And he had such a beautiful way with words. And I appreciated the gift that he gave me of showing me his world. I'm also reading a book right now called Solito, which was written about 4 years ago, I believe. And it's about a 9-year-old's experience trying to get to the United States from El Salvador. And, I think it's important that we put ourselves in other people's shoes so that we can create the world that we want to see. So, as I've been urging for the last couple weeks, if you do nothing else, then please call your representatives. It's so easy. If you've never done it before, there's a website called 5calls.org. That's the number 5, CALLS.org. All you have to do is type in your zip code, click an issue that you want to call about. They give you a script. They give you the numbers. It's so easy. Okay, so today's topic. So if you've been following me for the last month, then you know that I am doing a season of self-care because it is so important that you take care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Self-care is actually defined as doing the things that you need to do in order to feel taken care of mentally, physically, spirit, all those things. It has proven health benefits, and it's something that I learned to prioritize, having burnt myself out 2.5 times. I say half because that third time I recognized what I was doing to myself, and I was able to walk myself back from the ledge. But the first 2 times were horrible. The first time I got so sick, I asked to be taken to the hospital. I literally thought I was dying. The second time, I injured my back to the point where I was bedridden for 3 months and told that I probably shouldn't get pregnant because it would be a physically harrowing experience. And the third time I walked myself back. So skincare, I'm starting with skincare, then I'm going to go into the things that I eat, both supplements and food and, drinks in order to take care of myself. Then I'm going to talk about movement. I walk with a very heavy weighted vest. I'll talk about that. And I also do a lot of fascia work, which if you haven't heard of fascia work, especially as you age, like if you were one of those people who was super limber when you were young and now you're like, man, it is painful stretching. Fascia work, fascia work, fascia work. I do some fascia work on my body, literally from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. Every day I'm switching it up and doing something in order to ensure that I can move the way I need to move. And I'll talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about friendships. So this is going to be for many months. I'm going to talk about self-care because when things are crazy in your external circumstances, look, it's important to take care of yourself every day. But when things are externally challenging, maybe a loved one is ill or you're facing some sort of challenge at work, it's even more important to take care of yourself because you can't show up in the ways you want to show up if you are not well. Okay? So, as I mentioned, I've been having some issues with technology. And so today's episode it's fine if it just ends up being audio only. But last week's episode, I'm going to, if I feel that I've fixed everything, I am going to re-record that one so that you all can see all the products that I was showing you. This week's topic is how I designed a skincare ritual that I enjoyed and would stick with. And hopefully you will pick up some nuggets that will help you do the same. I never expect my students to do everything the way I do it because we're all different people. What works for me might not work for you, but if you can take one thing from this and then tweak it and make it work for you, then I will consider that a win. This is not a history lesson. This is not memorize these dates and facts and they're the same for everybody. This is, hey, here's what's working for me. Maybe you can take it and make it work for you. So let me just start by saying skincare is not something that I have always enjoyed. I didn't have a skincare routine before I was 40. I just, threw some things on my face without any rhyme or reason. And I didn't wear sunscreen either because I didn't know that I had to. And I think a combination of age and hormones meant that when I hit 40, my skin looked, combination of age, meaning me not taking care of my skin, also, just physically aging, and then hormones left my skin dry. I would call it gray and flaky. Like I was not luminous. Also, I had a lot of sun damage, especially in this area right here. And if you click on this QR code up here, or if you're listening to the podcast, if you go to subscribepage.com/7steps, there's a teeny tiny video there where you actually can see the sun damage. It was from 8 years ago, not from when I was 40, because I didn't start taking all these pictures. But yes, so I'm 52 now, or almost 52. And so my skin is better now at 52 than it was at 40. And I would say my skin was a lot better after even a couple of years, because I don't think I really took skincare seriously until maybe 10 years ago. So my skin was bad at 40, but I hadn't started like committing to skincare. And part of it was because I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy skincare. It was just something I had to spend time. It was felt like something I had to do. And if you've heard me say before, I always tell people, don't shit on yourself. Don't do something because you think you should, because society or your family thinks you should. Do it because you want to do it. And so for me, skincare felt like something where I was shitting on myself. However, around that time, I had a friend who was studying to be an esthetician, and she told me something that rocked my world, which is something that I've spoken about the last 2 episodes, which is that she offered me a microdermabrasion treatment because she was studying to be an esthetician and she needed a certain number of hours under her belt. So for free, I got to do this. And she said, oh, you're going to have no wrinkles around your eyes when you're done. And I said, I'm sorry, what is that? How does that happen? And she's like, well, a lot of wrinkles are just dried skin that hasn't flaked off. And I don't know what I thought wrinkles were before, but the thought that it was just something that wasn't coming off because I wasn't exfoliating properly blew my mind. And that was sort of the gateway to me realizing, I don't like how my skin looks right now. Maybe there's something to this skincare thing. And so I started doing some research. She also told me I should be wearing sunscreen. And I said, really? I mean, I'm medium complexion. Why do I need sunscreen? I'm rarely outside. And I learned that the blue light from all the monitors that we're all in front of, all the screens we're in front of, can cause the same damage as sun damage. And so those 2 pieces of information is what started me on a journey of, okay, I'm going to embrace skincare. So I bought a few products and they were in my bathroom and, I kind of do them, but I wasn't enjoying it. And what made me think about it differently was my background in habit formation. When you don't enjoy something, you can make it enjoyable through association. I learned this when I had to take this medicine that was really disgusting. And the way I would take it is that I would distract myself by doing a Sudoku puzzle as I was drinking this thing. And eventually it got to the point where I could take this medicine without doing the Sudoku because my brain had made this positive association between it. And so I thought about how can I make this enjoyable for me? And one of the things I realized was that I love the scent of roses. So I specifically sought out rose scented products. And it helped. Like I wanted to do it more. And actually the rose scented helped so much that I started acquiring so many more products that I realized I no longer wanted to do this in the bathroom. Like it wasn't the feeling I wanted. Like being in the bathroom is like brushing your teeth and, using the toilet and putting on a Band-Aid. That all sounded like stuff that, oh, well, you have to do it, but it's not fun. And I wanted to make it fun. So the way I did that was I made space. I've always had a little desk in my dressing area. I like having all my jewelry organized, and I had all these glass bottles that my father had given me as gifts, like these artistic little glass perfume bottles. I don't wear perfume, but I had the bottles out, and I like having little pictures. It's like a combination altar / vanity. And so I'd always had this little space, but I really only used it when I was getting dressed. Like I would put on makeup, I'd put on my jewelry. And so it barely got any use. And I thought to myself, well, why can't I just move all my skincare products there? And then I can just sit and have this space dedicated to taking care of myself. And that made a huge difference because like I liked my vanity. I liked how my vanity looked. I liked sitting there. I liked the feeling of being there. It was such a different vibe than standing in the bathroom. Like now I was sitting and it's cozy and, because my clothes are all around me. There's shelves of clothing above me. There are hanging clothes to the side of me. It's literally stuffed into my closet. I specifically made space for this vanity. And it just feels really cozy and warm being there. And so that was huge. That made a huge difference. Then I started getting more products that were liquids, and they all came in these brown bottles. It was just a bunch of brown bottles that I had. And I found myself not wanting to interact with them. Like it wasn't compelling to me. And then I had the aha moment of, hey, I have these beautiful perfume bottles that my father has given me that I've literally never used. I'm just going to decant these brown bottles into these beautiful bottles. And I didn't have enough. My dad had gifted me, I think, 3 or 4 perfume bottles, and I needed like 3 or 4 more. And so I went on eBay and I found some cute little bottles, and I decanted all my brown bottles into these pretty little perfume bottles, which if you watched the last couple episodes, maybe you saw the perfume bottles. I know the video wasn't great. And that made it really fun because now it felt like I had this potion shop and I was just using these potions for myself. And so the scent, the location, making the location pretty, and 3, making the product something I wanted to interact with made a huge difference. The final thing that also helped was to think of it not as, part of getting ready, but to think of it as a self-care ritual. It's just a mind shift. And one of the ways that helps me get into it as a skincare ritual, as a self-care ritual, is to burn a candle and put on this music that I chose. Now I can't play the music because that would infringe on someone's copyright. But, if you think about all of your senses, sight, smell, taste, touch, sound, the more you stimulate your senses, the more senses that you stimulate, the more of your brain that you're engaging. And guess what? Do you think an activity is more memorable / pleasurable the more of your brain that you engage, or less? It's more. Of course, it's more. That's why we love food so much, because it uses all of the senses, especially when you cook, because you get to hear the sounds of preparing the food, the chopping and the sizzling, and that's all the best palate stimulator, all those sounds. And then you have the smell of the cooking, and then you get to see the beautiful food, and then you get to taste and feel it in your mouth. That's why we love food so much. So think about, how can you make your skincare ritual pleasurable to all of your senses? And so I have this candle that I will show it when I do next week. I'm going to do my AM ritual on screen, so you'll get to see the candle, but it has a wood wick. So it makes this crackling sound, kind of like a wood fire burning. And it is a rose scented candle, of course, because I love rose scent. And it's eco-friendly, like all my products, non-toxic, eco-friendly. So it's really great because when I'm done with my skincare ritual, I will actually blow out the candle, and then I'll dip my finger in some of the melted wax, and I'll put it on my hands just like as an extra moisturizer, because my hands just get really, really dry. And then the music that I play, it's like an ambient music, almost like a chanting mixed with the sound of rain, mixed with some gongs. If you look, there are frequencies that are associated, audio frequencies that are associated with the different chakras. And that was how I found this music. I was looking for a specific frequency because I wanted to open a specific chakra. And I look forward to playing this audio track every single night. And I can't play it for you, so you're just going to have to find one that you enjoy. But I will put the name in the show notes. So if you wanted to purchase this track, check it out for yourself, you can check it out for yourself. So that is my tip. Those are my tips for how to create a skincare ritual that you will enjoy. And because you enjoy it, you will stick with it. That's how you make habit formation easy, is you find ways to make the activity that you want to do fun. And the way that you do that is you stimulate as many of your senses as possible in a way that is compelling to you. Thank you for joining me. I am going to go back and check the video. Hopefully everything, it looks good today. So it looks like there's no lag. Yay. And if everything is fine, then I am going to go back and reshoot last week's podcast so that you all can see all of the products that I was talking about. So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, rate this wherever you're watching or listening. You can catch the replay at the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, wherever you listen. And please use fivecalls.org and speak up. Your voice matters. If you don't tell your representatives how you feel about things, they're not going to know. I have seen a shift as more and more people are calling. So please make a call. And remember, planning makes everything easier.